a 2-event week yet on the Better since we started the Better
Well,
Sports Network
we
show?
had Puerto Rico going on, a couple weeks ago during,
Oh, yeah, that's
was
right.
it the Players? I don't
No,
know.
I don't think it was the players. Yeah, so it's one of those weird weeks where we have, like, a main event and we have, like, the undercard, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And, I mean, luckily, the match play is only 64 players, so you tend to get a little stronger field at Corrales for the Punta Cana, although it's tough. It's quite bleak. Wyndham Clark leads off the odds there, but we're gonna talk about that a little bit later on the show. We're gonna break down both of them. We're gonna tell you what you need to know about the WGC, the match play, the format, um, mistakes not to make, things to try, because you can get weird at match play. It will be weird. It's March Madness. It's brackets everywhere, including in the golf world, which is so much fun. I love the match play week. I know you do too, Pat. We got a just the tip segment for you. We've got our cash lineup we're going to bring in towards the end of the show, as well as talk through a little check in with the standings. Some interesting storylines in the FedEx Cup world, in the Ryder Cup world, in terms of standings and points. We'll talk through all that today. It's going to be a fun show. But Pat, I think we should start by recapping, you know, a good week,
Yes.
especially for you. Well, I guess especially for Taylor Moore, but especially for you.
Yeah.
You had Taylor Moore 50-1 on your betting card last week to win the Valspar, and he gets it done late on a Sunday. Fantastic. 50-1.
Yes, yes. Thank you, DB. It was great to hit another winner this year. As those who may listen to our regular show during the week, a few weeks ago, I was down. DB, I was down. I was sad.
Yeah.
I was depressed, and I drew a butterfly on my face,
Yeah.
and because that was going to signal a rebirth. And I went into a cocoon, and I came out. I was a little ugly caterpillar, and I came out, and I was a butterfly because Chris Kirk hit at the Honda Classic, and now I'm an even prettier butterfly. Okay, I got some extra colors on me, some spots,
Yeah.
and Taylor Moore hits at 50-1 from the betting card. It was fantastic. Now he kind of snuck up there, DB. He just
Yeah.
hung around all week. Adam Sheik had the lead the entire tournament pretty much. Jordan Spieth was up there, but they just couldn't handle Taylor Moore. He came on strong last few holes, and he got it done. So I was very excited to see that, and another really good and interesting PGA Tour event. It really was. So
Yeah, we had the leaderboard surrounded. We both had Tommy Fleetwood on our cards, respectively. I had Kramer Hickok and Wyndham Clark, who were both in the top 5 going into Sunday. Wyndham Clark finished 5th. Hickok had a rough Sunday, but we had it surrounded. Really, anybody up there could have won except for Adam Schenk and Jordan Spieth, and we probably were hitting, we were hitting a bet. So
yeah,
good to do. I love Copperhead, the Innisbrook course there at Valspar in Tampa, Florida. The final event of the Florida Swing. I mean, Pat, you literally own the Florida Swing. You drew the butterfly on your face ahead of the first event of the Florida Swing, which was the Honda, as you mentioned.
yeah,
And then you go on to hit the Honda and the Valspar 35-1 and 50-1. 2 of the 4 events, you nailed. And of course, we're not going to hit the players because we're not going to bet Scotty Scheffler to the favorite to win the
yeah,
players. So that one's almost like that's like getting a walk in baseball for us. If you're the Tour Junkies and you're counting at bats and how many times we get it right, if John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Rory wins and they're sub 11, 10-1, then that's like a walk for us. It doesn't even count.
yeah.
So I'd say you're really 2 for 3 in the Florida Swing. You missed Kitayama
I did.
at
Well,
200.
so did you, which is
Yeah,
even worse
yeah, at 200-1.
because he's your guy.
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't really miss him. He wasn't on the card, but you did talk
I talked
about
to
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him.
So maybe I need to put like an actual butterfly somewhere on my body, like a tattoo, and then like the state of Florida.
Ooh,
Just but see, I can't do that as a
ooh.
Bulldog fan. I cannot do that.
What if you know how Florida's like kind of like so you've got like Florida and it kind of like goes like this, like a upside down L,
Uh huh. Yeah.
What if you took 2 Floridas and you'd have to, like, flip it on it? Like, so you gotta have one of them mirrored.
Oh
And
wow,
those
that's
those
creative.
are like those are like the wings, and then
Yeah.
the head of the butterfly is Chris Kirk, and then the ass of the butterfly is Taylor Moore.
I mean, that's very
That is a
creative.
that is an incredible tattoo. If
That
somebody
is. I don't know how you decided which one would be the head and which one would
well,
be
because
the ass.
Chris Kirk won at 35-1, he's kinda the boss, he's just
Yeah.
he's a
Well, and he's a Bulldog.
he's a Bulldog,
Yeah.
multiple PGA Tour winner now.
Yeah.
Um Taylor Moore's just, he's Taylor Moore. He's a rookie. Nobody really knows. If somebody can really do a nice drawing of that and just like really do it up and share that with us, I'm not making any promises, but Pat may put that on his body somewhere.
Okay, I
And
didn't
then now
realize.
I'm starting to think about what I have to put on my body because now, on the season, I have 3 winners. You have 2,
Yeah,
but I haven't hit one since Max Homa at the Farmers back in, what was that, February, January? It's February, January? I mean, so I what am I gonna draw on me? Do you have any
Masters
ideas?
is coming up here. We're just a couple weeks away. Maybe an azalea or something. Maybe an egg salad sandwich. Draw an egg salad sandwich on your
I
face.
don't like eggs. I don't like the egg salad
Pimento
sandwich.
cheese. Pimento
I do
cheese.
like the pimento cheese sandwiches.
Yeah,
Something a food that no one talks about at the Masters is their chicken biscuits in the morning. If you get
they're
there in the morning,
fantastic. Yeah,
they're very good.
and the cookie thing with the peach ice cream in the middle.
Oh god, yes. Yeah, those things are incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, great week. Good to have the winner. I'm not sure if we talked about Taylor Moore on this show. I don't know if we did it on the Better Sports Network show. We could check the tape. I'm not sure if we did. I'm pretty sure I did not bring it up when I appeared on Moose and Keith last week, but he was a guy that we were both interested in, and good to see him get it done. I was a little gutted for Adam Schenk, just a little bit, because obviously I'm pulling for Taylor Moore to hit at that point. Adam Schenk had kind of a rough break there on 18. Been kind of a guy on the PJ Tour that's been around a while, and he was. I mean, props to him. Like, dude held it together. Kind of went toe to toe with Jordan for the weekend, and really played very, very well. Better than Jordan, which,
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Schenk did his thing. I gained a little bit of Adam Schenk respect.
I have to say I kinda did too, and I don't know, I feel like we've heard from maybe a caddy or somebody that Shank can be a little bit of a loose cannon
Mm,
fella, but
mm,
I didn't see that really. I started to like him a little bit,
yeah,
you know?
and he was playing his 10th tournament in a row.
Yeah.
10 in a row.
He's the new Sungjae.
Yeah.
Sungjae's jealous.
Oh, dude, they were talking about that on the TV coverage, and Sungjae was like kicking the dog and throwing stuff. All
Yeah.
right, before we take our first kind of hiatus here, break on the Tour Junkies Golf Show for this week, I want to ask you about the bifurcation thing, Pat,
Oh,
because we're a golf brand and we don't ever
yeah.
get to talk about like big topic golf news, but a huge topic in the golf world right now is bifurcation of the golf ball. And if you don't know what that means, I get it. I get it. I really do. If you're a golf nerd, you probably have very strong opinions on this. And that is the proposal by the USGA last week to roll back the golf ball, limiting its maximum travel distance. And basically, I won't get into all the details because we don't have time, but they release it, and now it has a 5-month review period where all these different people and organizations can comment their thoughts and plead their case, from golf ball manufacturing companies to the PGA Tour to anybody who wants to chime in and present a better argument or a better case against or for it is able to do that now for the next 5 months. And then I guess I don't know if it goes to some sort of, I don't know if then they decide what they're going to do, but if they decide to do it, the change would go into effect in January of 2026. But basically, the USGA is trying to keep distance from getting further out of hand, because we're running out of golf course. And there's a lot of arguments to be made on how to do it effectively, or whether it should just apply to the pro game, or what should it apply to everybody. So, Pat, I'll give you the floor. I actually
Ugh.
don't really quite know where you stand on this, but what's your
Hmm.
what's your thoughts?
Well, first off, I
Yeah,
don't even like the word bifurcation,
it's a
okay?
terrible word.
I feel like I'm going to a chiropractor or something and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I'm gonna go get a bifurcation today." Like, I gotta go get some bifurcation done at the chiropractor. Like,
Uh,
I don't like the word. It just
it really is a bad word.
it's a
It's
terrible
terrible.
word, so let's get that off our plate first.
Rolling back the golf ball.
Yeah, yeah, rolling back the golf ball. I'm not a fan, actually, and here's the thing. I mean, we all wanna hit the ball further, don't we? Okay? This is not gonna affect the everyday player like you and I, DB, it's not, but is it really gonna make a difference in the program game either? Like, it's just like, of the pros that are so good, it's not like all of them are bombers anyway,
Mhm.
and I just think that I just not a big fan of it, you know? I think that it's not gonna make that much of a difference anyway. I like to see that these guys can hit it far. I think there's other ways that you can deal with it. Maybe bring the rough up a little bit. Hey, how about that? Maybe narrow the fairways some. Okay. There's a few things that you can do on the golf course. I'm just not a fan of this whole thing. And then what do you got to do? You got to make these manufacturers spend a bunch of money just to come up with this golf ball that they can use, and whatever else. And I just think, now I'll say this too. This whole argument that you can get on the golf course and you can be just like the pros, DB. You can be just like the pros. You can hit it in the same spots they do, and then you can hit the same shots they do at Pebble Beach. That's not even close to the truth, okay? Because you're not playing from the tees that they're playing from. You're just not. And you're not hitting the shots that they're hitting. So I don't want to hear that argument either. But I just think a lot of it's a bunch of waste of time. I don't think that it's going to make that big of a difference. And I don't like it, DB. Just keep the ball, let them do what they want to do with the balls.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, obviously, don't have a lot of time to unpack all of it. I would tell you, yeah, totally agree. We are not playing the same game as the pros. I think that is a If I see or hear that argument, I immediately think, okay, you haven't thought about this very well. If that's your best
No.
argument, then it's not good. And I put out a Twitter thread arguing against it. And everybody was like, I can't believe you support this. I'm like, I didn't say I support bifurcation. I just said, if you're going to argue against bifurcation, saying that is not smart. That is not how you win the argument against rolling the golf ball back. But maybe I'll, you know what, Pat, I do have a couple of counterpoints to some things you just said, and I'm curious to hear your feedback on it. We'll get to that here in just a second when we come back from the break. So stay right here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Better Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he not? I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah, okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover. And then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
no way you know.
And Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14.
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question.
Uh-huh.
I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders. Unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
Oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay. Keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16, hold on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17, now this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. But yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had two people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Better Sports Network. Making you money in daily fantasy sports and golf betting. Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
The Better Baseball Preview is back. We're getting you ready for the upcoming baseball season with a Better Baseball Preview. From fantasy baseball to Major League betting and the newest baseball cards for 2023. You can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettersports.com, featuring some of the sharpest minds in the industry like Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfring, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets, and futures, sleepers and busts, fantasy draft strategy, collectibles, and more at no cost. Register now at bettersports.com to get instant access, plus notifications when new features are released. The Better Baseball Preview at bettersports.com. All right, Pat. So let me say two things about your bifurcation take. You
It
said
wasn't
growth.
much of a take, to be honest,
know.
because I'm still kind of out there on the like I don't really care to be honest. So, but go ahead.
You said grow the rough up and tighten the fairways. And some would argue, and neither one of us are very big architecture nerds. We don't really get into that a lot, but I know that the argument against that would be, okay, well, that's similar to what we've seen at certain major championship setups. The most notable would be what Bryson did. I believe it was at Winged Foot at the U.S. Open, because when you tighten the fairways and you grow the rough up, then what that usually means is that everyone, including the accurate players, are going to miss fairways at a higher rate, but a lot of the accurate players are hitting much longer irons out of thick rough. If you grow the rough up and you make it thick and you make it nasty, so they're hitting longer irons. They're maybe not as strong as the bigger, faster, swing harder guy. And so then we see what Bryson did, which was total disregard for fairway. Didn't care where he was as long as he just hit it as far as he could and had the shortest possible club into the green. Even if that meant hitting out of the rough, he would have a 9-iron or a wedge, and the average player would have a 7-iron or a 6-iron, from maybe the fairway or possibly the rough if they just miss it. So some would say that growing the rough up, tightening the fairways may actually not, bring guys closer to kind of tour average.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be the case, but I mean, sure, I guess, but there are some things you could do at least to make it a little more difficult for the bombers to. I mean, because you still have to get it out of the rough, and if it's heavy, thick rough, I think the one thing that Bryson did in the U.S. Open was he hit it beyond the places where they probably thought that he was going to hit it anyway, and so he kind of ended up. It seemed like he got really good lies for having a heavy rough, to be honest. But it's not working at Augusta National. I mean, he tries to bomb it all over the place there, and he doesn't seem to be able to do that there. So now there's a lot of things with the greens at Augusta that are a lot different too. Like just because you can bomb it around Augusta doesn't necessarily mean you can putt well on those greens that, if you're not good on approach that, I mean, there's a lot with Augusta of that golf course you have to know other than just being able to bomb it off the tee. I don't really know Winged Foot as well. So,
But even at Augusta, what did they just do? They just spent $25 million to buy, an acre or whatever,
Yeah.
however much they really needed from Augusta Country Club to move 13 back 50 to 675 yards, but to combat what guys were doing on that par 5. I heard this the other day. I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody was like, okay, you can get everybody to agree that the golf ball should go a certain distance, and there's a way you can do it, but you just can't. Everybody may disagree on how far. So, for example, if you've got a par 4, 450 yards, Pat, should you be able to drive the golf ball 400 yards? Should the golf ball go 400 yards on a
No, I don't. I don't think the golf ball should
Okay.
go 400 yards.
So
But I don't think that many people are hitting it 400 yards.
Hold on. So what if the golf ball only goes 80 yards? Is that fair? Should the golf ball only go 80 yards?
No, it shouldn't only go
Okay.
80 yards.
So then we're in agreement that there is a certain distance. There is a certain spectrum that the golf ball should go, and no further and no shorter, because of the way golf courses are made and built, and thousands of golf courses around the world that can't afford to do what Augusta National is doing. We've got to contain, the golf ball and the technology. And the other thing I think to think about with bifurcation is, it's one thing to say, I don't think we need this, we don't need it right now. And I would probably agree with that. I think it's probably fine. Like right now, we're good. Let's let people hit it as far as they are right now. But if we don't do anything about it, then, just like we didn't do anything about it in 2004 when people were looking at it, and now here we are in 2020 and it's a problem, or it's starting to become more of a problem, then we have to do things now so that we can prevent it from getting further out of hand in 20, 30, 40 years from now and golf courses not be able to handle or just
Well,
not make sense.
that's part of the deal with bifurcation that I actually do think most people don't understand is that a lot of it is not with the now, it's with the 20
Right.
years from now. And so I do think there is, some validity to that. I think it's, somebody that can swing it, 128 miles per hour is actually fairly rare. And to be honest,
Yeah.
we talk golf every week. How much does it really even come up that somebody is like when we're like recapping the golf tournament? How many times are we saying, "Well, damn, they just hit it so far, and it totally, it was easy for them and whatever." It's not. It's not easy
Right.
for them, regardless of how far they can hit it.
Right.
It's not a conversation we have a whole lot. I can tell you right now, it's not. It was after Bryson won that at Wingfoot.
Yeah.
But how many other times are we having that same exact conversation after a golf tournament? Not many.
I do think it tends to come up more so for the majors, but it's an interesting debate. We're not golf. We're not super diehard, like I said, course architect guys, or we don't really care all that much. Like I'm
Well,
gonna
and that's the
play.
thing too is, I know we got to get on to some betting and stuff, but I got more texts last week when this came out from people asking me my opinion on bifurcation, and I'm like, I just don't really care. Like, I don't know. It was like usually I have a lot of takes on golf. I mean,
Yeah.
I could talk live all day long, but
Yeah.
when bifurcation and all the normal people that just like to watch golf, they were super into it, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, let's bifurcate our program here and get back to what we do best, which is talking about betting and playing fantasy sports when it comes to golf. Let's talk about the WGC first. The Dell Match Play, very unique event. It's the only one of its kind, and unfortunately, as of now, it looks like this might be the last year they do this event on the PGA Tour. I'm hoping that isn't the case. This is a fun event. It captures what we are all doing in March Madness, and that is getting wrapped up in a bracket. And it puts PGA Tour players, a lot of the best in the world, in a bracket. 64 players. The first 3 days, I guess Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have round robin play in groups of 4. So, by the way, the tournament starts on Wednesday, tomorrow. If you're watching this, it starts Wednesday. I think they tee off at 10:20 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday morning for the match play. So you gotta, you probably got to lock in like week-long DFS lineups before then. If you want to bet outright, you could probably still find plenty of live numbers. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit. But the WGC, they're going to each play round robin style through Group 1. Everybody playing the other 3 members in their pod that they're sectioned in, or their group that they're sectioned in. And then from there, after Friday, it's going to be single elimination into 16 players, into 8, into 4, and in the championship match, obviously the final 2. So the weekend, it's going to be fewer players on the golf course, and you're going to be glued to your seat watching these matches. Scotty Scheffler is your defending champion, which I feel like we say that a lot. Scotty Scheffler won last year he was starting his hot run, or had just started it. He was 20-1. Billy Horschel and Kevin Kisner won the 2 years prior to that, both at 80-1. Bubba Watson won in 2018 at 50-1. Dustin Johnson won at 10-1. And Jason Day won the first time here at Austin Country Club in Texas at 14-1 in 2016. So you can see kind of a mix of, a lot of short numbers there, some favorites, and a couple of bombs with Billy Horschel and Kevin Kisner. 80-1 in a 64-man event would be a long shot. Bubba Watson at 50-1, probably a long shot. So it's match play. It's not stroke play. You're playing one-on-one versus the guy in front of you, which is definitely different. The golf course doesn't really suit any certain type of player. We've seen short hitters, long hitters, good putters, bad putters, all do well here. Match play is truly a different beast. It is an extremely variable high variance golf tournament anyway with match play. But there's a lot of through lines and storylines we could get into. We covered on our show, but I think that's probably all we need to get to for now. Is there anything super critical you think I missed there, Pat?
No, the only thing I would say is I've heard today that they are getting a decent amount of rain. It's kind of a drizzle, but it's softening up the golf course. And typically, this golf course can play pretty firm and fast, which I know players like Kiz, if you have that kind of profile who's played well here in the past, they like it firm and fast. But it being softer, I think you really got to, if you're focusing on, the guys you want to bet, the birdie makers, man. I think there's going to be a ton of birdies on this golf course. The way it looks like it's going to be playing at least the first couple days.
For sure. In terms of, kind of key stats, I think birdie or better. Opportunities gained is a stat we talk about a lot. You need guys that are going to make those birdies. I mean, it's hard to win a match play event, especially with softened up greens, but just making par. So you need guys that'll make a bunch of birdies. And this is one of those events. It's not stroke play. They can make a triple here and there, but they need to make a lot of birdies. They need to be comfortable on Pete Dye designs. He's the architect for Austin Country Club. And iron play, getting up and down when you need to, dropping putts on your opponent, all of that, very important. Also matters kind of where let's just talk betting. We're not going to talk DFS on this show, but in terms of betting, Pat, we've got this bracket. It's a lot like betting if you're going to bet outright winners. I mean, think about if you were going to bet an outright winner at March Madness before the tournament started, right? You probably, again, going back to before the tournament started, you probably wouldn't want to take, Kansas and two other teams in the Kansas lower right quadrant, right? Because only one of those is going to get through to the Final Four, to the national title game. Similarly here, except, I kind of think, so I did my betting card today. I have 9 total players on the betting card because it's a big balls betting card. The shortest number on my card is 33-1, Pat. So we're going big here. We're throwing out all the favorites because there's a lot of variance. But out of my 9 players, I got 2 from each quadrant, and then I got 3 from one certain quadrant. So obviously, I'm just trying to optimize some chances that I get as many guys into that final. I was kind of thinking, like, the way I approached it was like, who do I really think is a good value to get to the Final Four? Because then it's at that point you feel like you've won something already, and at that point it's match play variance taken over. You just hope they get through and they win the damn thing, right? Yeah. But be cognizant of where you're taking these guys. I think is something to know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there for sure.
We'll get into a little bit more specific thoughts here in the next segment in terms of bets for the WGC. I do want to talk about, we do it every week, guys. We got to give the Just the Tip segment. It's going to be a quick one today, but let's get into it. It's mine today. Here is Just the Tip, and it's talking live betting, okay? We don't talk a whole lot about the live betting here because we're always doing the preview before the tournament starts, but I do think the match play presents a good opportunity to live bet some guys. So maybe holding back some of the units that you would normally spend before the tournament gets going on Thursday, holding back, let's see what happens. But a couple of things to make sure that you understand when it comes to live betting, not just for the match play, but for anything. I think last week was a good example. When it's a tough course and stroke play event and the scoring is a little tougher, I think that always presents a good opportunity because guys, there can always be one guy or maybe a handful of guys that goes extra low in the morning on a Sunday or a Saturday to really make a move up the board, and they don't have to shoot, 12 under to actually catch guys at the top because the scoring is more condensed. So when it's a tougher situation, a tougher setup, I think that's something to pay attention to. And then obviously you're looking for guys who maybe are hitting it well. So you can look at live stats. Let's say it's after round 1, round 2, round 3, looking at live stats and understanding, okay, who are the guys that are behind, but that are hitting it well, and the putts aren't dropping, because the putting is the biggest thing, the biggest part of a golf game that can come and go just like that. Now, you may find that guy and he may still suck putting the rest of the tournament, but it's a lot less likely that he, improves the ball striking all of a sudden, than it is that he improves the putter all of a sudden. So find the guys who are hitting it well, track them down the leaderboard, find the good value, and think, if he keeps hitting it like this, but 3 or 4 more putts start dropping for him, like I wish Tommy Fleetwood would have done last Sunday at the Valspar. Yeah. If 3 or 4 more putts start dropping for him, this could work. This could happen. This could hit. That's kind of what you want to pay attention to, what you want to look for in terms of a live betting opportunity. Moving day, sometimes it's like a guy with an earlier tee time in the morning, and maybe he's getting a little bit softer, more mild wind conditions, and you're kind of checking that out. And then the last thing I'll say real quick before we go to our next break is watch golf. If you're going to live bet on a Saturday or a Friday, have watched some golf before you do it. Understand how the course is playing, how guys are attacking the course, because I think your eyeballs can tell you a lot, maybe subconsciously, about the odds of a guy that you're maybe looking at or targeting, about how likely is he to step up and take over if you're, trying to outright, hit an outright live. So that's just a tip. We got to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some specific bets, going to look at the groups for the WGC, talk a little Corrales, build our DFS cash lineup, and all that good stuff. So Stay right here on the Better Sports Network. Tour Junkies Golf Show coming right back.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Better Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft, oh well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Better Sports Network. Now back to Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
All right, time to dish out the good picks. First round leader bets. We're talking WGC, we're talking Corrales, all the above. Pat, talk to me about WGC. Let's talk outright bets. Looking at the bracket, tell me, you haven't dropped the hot betting card that's won 2 out of the last 4 weeks. You haven't dropped it yet, no. But who are some guys we're kind of eyeballing here so far that you think could win the match play?
Well, I'll start with a guy I really like at 25-1, and that's Victor Hovland. Now, he's in the top left quadrant of the bracket, which is also where you find one Scotty Scheffler, who is the favorite and the defending champion. But I do feel like Hovland can get past Scheffler and win this, so I will put him. I like him at 25-1. Another guy I like at 25-1, and I think you're going to see this guy on a lot of betting cards because of the way he's been playing lately. We just saw him finish, had a fantastic finish at the Players' Championship, and that is Tyrrell Hatton. All right, and I like his bracket even more. I think there's a lot of guys that he can get through. Rory is on his side, but I just don't know. Rory's. He's been kind of hit or miss lately. Okay, he's struggling with his driver. So Hatton to come out of that one, I think is definitely a possibility. So up top of your favorites, really, Hovland and Hatton are my 2 favorites there at 25-1.
I mean, I like both the plays. I think I prefer the Hatton call. When you're looking at these quadrants, you mentioned it's a little bit easier bracket. I think you're right. And I think part of it is the depth. I mean, it's easy to look at any quadrant and go, wow, but they've got Rory in that side, and they've got Rahm over here, and they got Scheffler, and they got Homa and Spieth over here. But I think just the overall depth of that bottom right bracket, when you get past, when you get past Rory, and when you get past Schauffele, who's okay, hasn't been great. Rory, like you said, it's got some holes in the boat at the moment. He's working on a whole new bag setup. I think he's probably trying to get things keyed up and exactly how he wants them for Augusta in a couple weeks. There's just not quite the same depth. There's some first timers in that lower right bracket, so you kind of think, all right, for a guy like Tyrrell Hatton, who didn't he shoot like a 29 on the back nine at TPC or something on Sunday? For a guy who's coming in hot, he may be able to really run through that group and easily, again, get you to the Final Four. Like I said in the last segment, that's kind of something I'm thinking through. In that shorter category, I mean, for me, it's Max Homa at 20-1 coming out of the bottom left, and he's got a tough spot. I mean, he's got Hideki and Kisner in his group. Kisner's the match play god, but he's just not looking at all like Kevin Kisner. Hideki, I think, could be a threat, but I'm not sure that Hideki, I don't know. I'm just not sure Hideki is geared up to play 7 matches and possibly win the match play, but and Homa's playing fantastic, which he'll have to play the winner of the Spieth, Shane Lowry, Taylor Montgomery, Mackenzie Hughes group, which is another stout group. So, I mean, I think Homa's got a tough test, but he's been playing so well. And then for me, it's Cam Young at 33-1. We talked about it on the Tour Junkies podcast yesterday, I guess it was, that he's got Paul Tesori on the bag, Webb Simpson's former caddy, which is going to be a great upgrade for Cam Young. And he's just been playing super well. He's going to have to play the winner of the Rahm group, which is stacked. But I think once he gets past that, he's got a decent look. So, more long shots, bombs, and all that to come for sure. If you want to check out the Tour Junkies content on YouTube, podcasts, you can subscribe to our weekly emails that come out, get in the Discord. We've got plenty of stuff going on in there. So, more to come on that. Let's talk Corrales, Pat. Let's talk Corrales, which is the alternate field event, kind of the undercard, like I mentioned earlier. Not much we really have to get into in terms of the golf course. Just know it's obviously in Punta Cana, so it's coastal, it's resort style, which typically means it's a little easier, it's a little wider, it's a little more forgiving, and the wind is really the ultimate defense of the golf course. And it looks like it's going to blow a little bit this week. So in the past, we've seen the winning score somewhere between Joel Damon at 12 under when it was really humming, but for the most part in mild conditions, or mild for this area, which is looking like what we're going to get here, 17, 18 under is going to get it done. So you got to be able to score on the par fives. You got to be able to go low, get your birdies, and rack them up, baby, because you got to go low. So what are we thinking in terms of Corrales? I know you've got some first round leader bets, which you hit. We didn't even talk about that. You also hit Stefan Jaeger in our Discord, his first round leader last week, 65-1. Chop that 3 ways. So still tremendous, 21.5-1 payout on Jaeger to start your week. And then you buttoned it up with Taylor Moore at 50-1. So stay hot, fam. Give us the first round leader bets.
Well, I got a few here actually that I think we could look at. And a few of these, I think, or a couple of them, I think you like as well, but I've got 4 of them. Now, I think, like we said with Steven Jaeger, you could easily get chop 2-3 ways. So I really like to stay at least over 50-1 as far as the odds are concerned. Yep. So here's the first one. MJ Duffy is at 55-1. You got to look at par 5 scoring, birdie or better percentage, that kind of stuff here out on this golf course. He fits the bill there. Also been playing extremely well too. Has 2 top 25 finishes in his last 3 starts. So I like MJ Duffy. And then Andrew Novak is one I know you like. I know you like some Novak. He is at 65-1. A guy that checks the box when you look at scoring, you look at opportunities gained, which means he's giving himself a lot of birdie looks, par 5 scoring. So I like Andrew Novak as well at 65-1. Hank Lebioda is at 80-1. We've seen him go low plenty of times out here on tour. He always seems to have a hard time putting 4 rounds together, but Hank can go low at any time. So I like that about him at 80-1. And this is one I kind of wasn't even looking at until you mentioned him on the podcast as a potential outright winner long shot or maybe a DFS play. I can't remember which one it was, but Kyle Westmoreland is 100-1. Okay, so I'm giving you a bomb here, 100-1 as a first round leader. The dude can score. hits it a long way. So he's going to check the box for sure at par 5 scoring and birdie or better percentage. So that's the 4 first round leader bets, DB.
I wasn't texting my bookie to call those in just a minute ago. I was actually pulling up their tee times. So just checking out their tee times. And I was looking at the weather in Punta Cana for Thursday when they kick off the Corrales event in Punta Cana. Thursday looks pretty much, it's going to be the same conditions basically for everyone. So
Yeah.
don't necessarily think you have to come out of the morning wave. It's going to be in the 70s. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be, wind sustained in the mid-teens with gusts in the low 20s pretty much the whole day for everybody. So I think you had 3 p.m. guys, and then your only AM guy was who's your first guy?
MJ Duffy.
Yeah, MJ. I think MJ's an AM guy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, love those. So I think I like all those. I mean, Duffy, Novak, Westmoreland for sure. Lebioda can get hot too. I mean, we've seen Lebioda.
Yeah.
He's
I think was it Puerto Rico where he went low one day?
I think
Was
that
it the first round?
It was either that or I thought it was maybe even a full field, like a big time event maybe. Because he went low somewhere in like the main event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. He can go low. He can get it done. So I love that. Love those big numbers because you're going to be likely to chop them.
Yeah.
What about any other? So I've got some Corrales like bets that I like as well. I don't know if they're still. I don't know. I mean, some of them you kind of mentioned here as a possible first round leader, but in the shorter range, Thomas Dietrich at 20-1, I think is kind of where you can still find him. 20-1 Thomas Dietrich. He's played here a few times, played really well before. He's a bomber. He's going to score on the par 5s. He's in good form. Ben Martin is a very regular guy here at Punta Cana, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but he's comfy here. He's been very close to stringing it all together, knocking on the door of a PGA Tour victory. I think he's around 28, 25-1 as well on most books. And I'm going to stick with my boy Kramer Hickok, who was 40-1 yesterday. He may be a little shorter now, but I'd hit him at like 35-1 if he can still grab it. Kramer Hickok playing extremely well lately, so much so I had him on the card last week. I think what was he, like 80 or something to 1, maybe 80 or 100-1.
He's been playing really well.
He was up there and had a chance. I mean, he was in one of the final groups on Sunday and just absolutely just lost it on Sunday and couldn't keep it together. But that's really just one round, and his body of work has been very solid, and he loves Punta Cana. He has played here very well. So if you could still get Hickok at 35-1 or longer, I like that one. And then I had Andrew Novak, who you just mentioned as a first round leader at I got him at an outright at 55-1. I think is interesting.
Yeah, I could add a few in here that I like. Taylor Pendrith is 22-1, so up top, I think he's a good one to bet on. I like Akshay Bhatia.
Oh,
He
yeah,
is at 35-1. That kid he's gonna get a win eventually. He's had some on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's had success on the PGA Tour. Also, has conditional status, as a matter of fact, already this year because of how well he's played. So Akshay Bhatia is at 35-1. And then our boy Mark Hubbard is at 50-1. It's another guy that I think if he could just put 4 together, he can get him a win. He and Joel Damon are good friends. Maybe Joel's buddy Hubbs gets a win. Right after Damon got a win here last year. So I like him. He's at 50-1.
Are you familiar with Augusto Nunez?
I've seen the name. I mean, I know who he is. Yeah.
He's got a runner up here from like 2017. He's now he's a rookie. I guess maybe he's not a rookie. Let's see. Yeah, he is a rookie. He's a rookie on the PGA Tour. He finally got his card last year after multiple attempts on the Corn Ferry Tour, but got an exemption to play here back in 2017 and runner-upped it. And then this year, 2023, he's got a 31st at Torrey Pines. Is that any good? He's got he made cuts at Pebble Beach and Honda, 15th at Puerto Rico just a couple of weeks ago. He did miss the cut at the Valspar, but the ball striking was fantastic. He's one of these guys that can't putt, but he hits it very far. He's averaging 315 off the tee. This is a guy they're trying to roll back, bifurcate Augusta. I can tell you that. He's hitting at 315 off the tee. The iron play has been okay. He's having like peak weeks with the irons. Probably loves them some past Palom green surfaces that you're going to have here on this coastal spot. and he's like 100-1. He was kind of one that I just stumbled upon. So that's
See, now that's if you can still get that number, I like it because I'm looking at them on a couple books at 65-1. They're both
maybe
they
short.
both have them at the same number, but if you can find 100-1, I'd jump on it for sure.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, that's Corrales is something that I think you guys ought to take advantage of. I mean, again, because if you're listening to this show on Tuesday night, then your window is closing to bet on the WGC. Reminder: the WGC tees off on Wednesday morning at 10:20 a.m. Eastern. Again, they'll roll out these groups slowly, so there'll still be some. If you're looking for value on a guy on an outright, you can probably get close to the same numbers on most of the guys. By the time noon rolls around, or even later, possibly on the East Coast for the WGC match play. Are there any other bets? Any other things we want to get through? We're going to talk about our DraftKings cash lineup, which finally we got another hit last week, Pat. I doubled up using that lineup. So we're going to talk about our DraftKings cash lineup. We're going to do that one with Corrales as well. And then I want to look through the FedEx Cup standings and the Ryder Cup standings. I don't know if you've done this, but with the new tour announcement that 2024, it's the top 50 thing with the FedEx Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Where, the top 50 in the FedEx Cup at the end of this season. So, I guess when we get to Eastlake, at the end of this season, the top 50 are going to be automatically in all of those elevated events for the next season in 2024. So it's kind of cool. Like it's made me look at the FedEx Cup standings now. Like I'm not actually just looking at it at the very end of the year in the summer when we're looking at who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's keeping their card, who's not. It's really added another through line of the story because you're still looking at the top 125. They're going to keep their PGA Tour card. But now you're looking at the top 50 to say, here are the guys trying to get in every designated event next year. And there's some surprising names thus far in the PGA Tour season. We'll hit on some of those and the DFS cash lineup when we come back. Stay right here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Vladdy swings at the first pitch and lines it into right center.
How did a guy who was being selected in the first round pretty well everywhere last year, he proceeded to lose 33 runs, to lose 16 homers, to lose 14 RBIs, and to lose 37 points in batting average. Oh, and 184 points in OPS. He went down everywhere. How does that guy, Vlad Jr., still register as the #1 fantasy first baseman? Ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, who won the MVP last season. Ahead of Mr. Freddie Freeman, who does the same thing every year, which is hit .315 with 25 homers and 100 ribbies. Ray, it's like Vlad Guerrero Jr. had nothing to worry about. It's like they thought they were getting him and his dad, as you can see there on the photo. You get both of them when you draft him at #1. I'm just surprised, and it was not a bad season, but Ray, it was such a disappointment compared to what he posted in 2000.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Vladimir Guerrero, in 3 of the 4 years, he's been average to good. He had one spectacular season. And we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. The positives are the lineage, positives are the skill set, positives are the StatCast data, which everything's like top 5% murders the baseball. The negatives are he has not hit 275 in 3 or 4 years. We keep talking about this too. He does not get the ball in the air. It's remarkable his ability to hit 30-plus home runs, given that he never gets the ball in the air. His ground ball rate last year was 52%.
Well, and we're asking the question, how is he still #1 at first? But what catches me even more so, Ray, is the overall. I mean, he's a first-round pick overall, and I don't think he has any business in the first round. I look at his profile, and there are so many guys going behind Vlad that just have business in the first round that deserve to be there. Freeman, Machado, Bichette, Rafael Devers, I think maybe Pete Alonso. You put Austin Riley ahead of him. If he gets 310, 30, 190, he's a first rounder.
I think the play with Vlad is the batting average. because he hits the ball monstrously hard. I could see him hitting 320.
Can you hit 320 with a 52% ground ball rate?
You can, but it helps if you're athletic and fast. And he's
yeah, exactly. And I get it. His hit tool's strong, Ray, and he's good. And it's funny his ground ball percentage is that high because on the occasions when I get to watch Blue Jays baseball, I don't see it. I see him hit the ball. And it's not really grounders. I'm surprised the number is that high. It feels like he stings the baseball, but I guess there's just no lift overall in his game.
It's just a little tweak to his swing that could really lead to that growth back toward where he was in the home run column. And I think people, he's done it. This is not hypothetical. He did it 2 years ago and he's still just 23.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team where you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network. Helping you have more fun with golf. Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the Tour Junkies golf show on the Better Sports Network. Talking to WGC, the Corrales Punta Cana. 2 events going on the PGA Tour this week. Talking a little bifurcation. If you just checked into this, that's not some sort of, that's not some sort of illegal activity. But you'll have to go to the beginning of the show to hear our opinions on bifurcation in golf. Pat, we've dished out some bets, some outrights, some first-round leaders, some thoughts on the WGC and the Corrales. I want to do our cash lineup, and then I want to get to a little rankings discussion.
Okay.
So the cash lineup last week did manage to cash. I entered it in the large, I think it was $25 double up single entry, which is a good contest if you're playing DraftKings looking for 50-50s and double ups that will help double your bankroll, increase your bankroll slowly and gradually. And we're here to help make sure that we give you a winning lineup more often than a losing lineup. And for now, on the season, we are 4-4, and we have a 1 in there as kind of like it was on the fence. It kind of could have made it, could have not. We don't know. That one's kind of a push. So we're 4-4-1. We're going to do a lineup right now, and we're going to do it with Corrales because I don't really care to play. I don't really care at all to play.
That's going to be very difficult cashing.
Match play cash lineup. Why would we do that? I can't get my computer to work. Okay. All right, here we go. Match play Corrales. I'll start. This is tough. This is really tough. Because, obviously you're just, like we say every week, you don't have to spend all your bankroll. You should spend most of your bankroll, but we're not trying to get all the studs in here. We're trying to get a balanced lineup. We want 6 guys to be playing the weekend. Just need 6 guys to make the cut. If we have 6 guys to make the cut, almost guarantee that we're going to cash in any 50-50 or double up situation. So, I love Wyndham Clark. I think Wyndham Clark's going to have a great week. Don't have to have him in our lineup. Okay. I love Thomas Detry. He's borderline. He's borderline here because I don't want to go too low. The 6K range, it's rough.
It's rough. Yeah.
It's real bad. There are some weeks, designated events, elevated events on the tour where the field is so deep, you can go to the 6K section and feel fine taking a guy. But here in Punta Cana, you're basically taking a guy who's, he's a janitor at the resort, and they're just.
I don't even want you to put me in the low 7Ks.
I know that's stuff too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's kick it off. I'm going to go at 8,700. You've already talked about him. He's an outright bet at 35-1. I don't know how you avoid Akshay Bhatia. I realize that people are going to open it up and say, "Oh, he missed the cut at the Valspar." Well, he missed the cut at the Valspar on the number. Valspar is a very difficult golf course compared to this. It's a stronger field compared to this. And he finished runner-up at the Puerto Rico Open, which is much, much more similar to what he's going to face here at Punta Cana. He did that a couple weeks ago. So I'm going Akshay Bhatia here at 87.
Yeah.
Also crushed it in the Bahamas.
I'm seeing him 8,500.
Oh, crap. I clicked on Showdown. Dang it. Hang on.
Well, see, we got a little savings. So while you're getting over there,
yes, I'm happy about that.
We'll start with him at 8,500. I'm a fan there for sure. I'll tell you where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to get to the high 7K range and go with a guy that we both actually like, and that's Andrew Novak at 7,800. He's made 7 of 10 cuts this year. You look at 3 of his last 4 events, he's finished in the top 30. So I'm going to go with Novak there at 7,800.
Yes, I like the Novak play. All right, let me make sure I've got the right thing pulled up here. So Akshay, yeah, 8,500. Sweet, love that. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna go right above our boy Andrew Novak, and I'm gonna go to friend of the podcast, Mark Hubbard. I'm liking Hubs a lot. I think you mentioned him, didn't you?
I
Didn't you
did.
mention Hubbard?
Yep.
Let's see. What's Hubs coming off a T35 a couple weeks ago, T42. I mean, he's doing all right. T20 back in, I guess that was in like the early California swing or something. But Hubs is playing well. I like that. Let's go homeless Hubs.
Okay. How about we stay? We've mentioned this guy, but Kramer Hickok. He's made his last
Yep.
4 cuts, playing well. Let's go with a hot hand, and I feel good about him. So 8,700 Kramer Hickok.
Yeah, we're building a real nice balanced lineup here. I like where this is going. So we got 2 players remaining around 8,550 on average. Let's see. I mean, we should probably draw a line with the lowest we want to go. I don't want to go 7K. I don't want to go 72K, although Augusto Nunez, as I mentioned earlier, is tempting, but he's probably more of a GPP tournament play. 7,300, there's Lebiota's in there, but still for cash, I don't know that we want to do Lebiota. 84, I'm not interested in anybody. Or 74, I'm not interested in anybody. 75, not
I'm telling you, man,
terribly.
you got to get up to 76, I think, before I'm starting to see
76,
anybody.
we've got MJ Duffy, who we both like. Ryan Gerard going for his special temporary membership. The North Carolina young stud has done quite well. T11 at Puerto Rico a couple of weeks ago. T4 at the Honda. I mean, this kid is playing quite well. Had a rough Sunday at the Valspar, but otherwise was playing well. So I'm interested in Gerard. I mean, what is that? So if we click on, let's see, if we do Gerard, what does that leave us? 9,400. So we could go up and get Ben Martin. I know you love Matt Wallace.
I mean, if we did Gerard, I'd probably have to go. I feel like I need to go Matt Wallace.
Really? You'd rather have Matt Wallace over Ben Martin? You hate Matt Wallace.
I know, but just the way he's playing, man, it's been really good.
Wow. I actually think I would prefer Ben Martin. And I had Matt Wallace last week.
Martin may be the safer play.
So Matt Wallace has never played here. Ben Martin finished a runner-up here last year.
Yeah, he's got a good finish.
And he's been playing solid too. I mean, his last 4 starts, 45th, 54th, 5th, 13th. I mean, Martin's been playing well. I just feel like Wallace is playing good, but he seems a little more volatile, and he's the first timer here.
Okay, well, we'll do
Can
that.
we go Ben Martin?
Yeah.
All right, so the lineup is Ben Martin, Kramer Hickok, Akshay Bhatia, Mark Hubbard, Andrew Novak, and Ryan Gerard. That is your 50-50 or double up lineup. All right, I want to wrap up the show, Pat, talking about how much more time do we have? We just got a little bit. No, we got some time. All right, I want to wrap up the show talking about these standings check-ins.
Okay.
I mean, dude, what? Okay, let me do that. Have you looked at the standings?
I have, yes. Now, which one? You're talking about the FedEx ones?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about
Have you looked at
Rodico?
FedEx?
Okay, FedEx. Yeah, I have them pulled up, and I
was going to play a
them.
fun game with you. Like, guess where Mackenzie Hughes would fall without looking.
Okay, well, I'm not looking at him right now, but I feel like Mackenzie Hughes would be like 68.
He is 23.
My goodness.
Where would Cam Young fall?
He hadn't played well this season, so I'd probably put him at like 54.
He's at 83. Hideki.
Hideki also hadn't played great. 68.
66. Very good. Billy Horschel. Former FedEx Cup champion, Billy Horschel.
80. 86.
121. Brendan Todd.
What's he done? 150.
33rd.
What? How did Brendan
Todd
Todd get
was one of
points?
the most shocking ones to me. Brandon Wu.
Brandon Wu's been fairly consistent and made a lot of cuts, so I'd probably put him in the at 27.
44. Last one,
Okay.
Ben Taylor. Recently married, Ben Taylor.
I'd say 34.
35. You must have cheated on that one.
Dude, I did that actually.
Brendan Todd at 33.
That's crazy. I have not. Where did he
I
get
don't
his
know. I
points?
think his naked pictures of Monahan. Well, I don't. I mean, so, obviously there's a lot of golf left to play. And obviously a lot of the big names don't always play in the fall swing and all this stuff. So JT, Hideki, Cam Young, all on the outside looking in. Willie Z outside looking in. Then you got guys like Brennan Todd, Mackenzie Hughes, Andrew Putnam, Ben Taylor all inside if it cut off right now. It's just an interesting thing to follow. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it next week. We ran out of time this week. Next week, you got the Valero Texas Open. We'll be back on the Better Sports Network, the Tour Junkies Golf Show. See you.
Oh!